My name's Ian Aber, and this is Straight People. We are recording live today from my husband's basement, and we are bringing it to you with our good friend of the show, Brittany Dent. How you doing, Brittany?
Hi, Ian.
Nice to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And doing Straight People. I said you're a friend of the show. You're the first person I've described as that. So,
well, great.
Officially,
I like it.
Officially,
I am officially a friend of the show. Okay.
Right?
So I get my own merch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Hey, I have a shirt.
Yes.
I can give it to you, but I will say that everyone I've sold the shirts to then wears them, and then like gay people think that they're like aggressively like marketing straight people.
Maybe it should say friend of the show.
That's, I know, right? Straight people, but not really. Get it? Straight people, but like ironically, get it?
Yeah. Just like a little eye roll emoji.
It's like somebody who's one of the people in Ben just said said the thing that I like to say, which is I do a podcast called Straight People because straight people don't have enough. They don't have enough. They need something else.
We need a lot.
Yeah. So how you identify?
I identify as a straight woman.
Straight. Congrats on that.
Thank you so much. I worked very hard at it.
It's very difficult to maintain that straight status these days, right?
Yes.
Like there's so many options.
So many.
You know?
There are so many options. I don't know why I'm still doing this to myself. Life could be better.
Yeah, exactly.
In so many ways.
Like at this point, you're a lifestyle choice. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's a more aggressive choice to remain straight this point. It's like, why are you still doing that to yourself?
It's like you're still drinking water from the tap. What are you doing?
Right.
Why would
you know what we're?
We live in Detroit.
It's 2019. Like let's step it up. So.
But you also have So how long have you been in stand up now? I feel like it's a year and a half, 2 years.
It'll be almost 2 years. It's 2 years next month in December. So yeah.
So you were sketch, or what did you do?
I did sketch for a couple of years, and then I tried to do improv for like a year and a half, and it was fun. But then
we're not going to get into.
We
improv.
don't have to.
No, it's fine. Improv knows what it is.
I don't need to weigh in on the war.
Yeah, exactly.
So
improv like makes better comics for sure.
Oh, I agree.
I just don't like in terms of like from an entertainment standpoint. I'm just a stand-up person.
Right, like it's a useful skill, but
absolutely.
It's not like...
And great improvisers are very impressive and very funny.
Yes.
But, like, if I was going to be like, okay, I'm going to spend a night doing this or this,
right,
I would never pick improv. I mean, I maybe if somebody, like, super famous, like, if I was going to watch, like, Yucky Lates.
Yucky Lates.
Lucky Yates.
Yes. Yes.
Or his brother Yucky. Either one. Yucky Lates.
Bless him. He never really took off.
I know, right? This is not as funny. But if I was going to watch that kind of like, and I will say that for a time, Payne and I would go to stand up and improv because I lived across the street or down the street from Dad's garage, so I'd go quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it was always like. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. It's just like, different. It's fun. Yeah. So, but you did that, and then you took Lace's.
Yeah, I did that, and then I took Lace's Laugh Lab class.
Lace Larrabee's Laugh Lab class.
Laugh Lab.
And then you've been sort of just killing it since then.
Thank you. I've been trying. Yeah. It's one of those things where like I kind of. Like, I've always loved stand-up and stuff. And I had met Lace before. Yeah. You know, and then she was like, oh, you should do stand-up. And I was like, ha, you're funny. And then a couple of years later, when she did it, or she said she was going to do the class, I was like, if I'm ever going to do it, I'm going to do it now. Yeah. And it all just kind of lined up in the right place. So I liked it. And it's been a lot of fun.
And so, like, you haven't been back into any of those other comedic art forms?
Well, I am in a sketch group. Okay. Currently, it's a different sketch group than what I was in. Yeah. But Carlette Jennings and Jasmine Waters is in it, and a bunch of other people that you may know. But and it's called Black as Fuck.
Oh, nice.
Of course. Nice. So, and we're all some brown people.
Are you doing live sketch or are you doing shooting?
It's live. I think we're going to try to shoot. Yeah. But yeah, we're in the middle of a run now where we're writing more things to do at Mark Kendall's POC show.
Oh yeah, the People of Color show. That's great. The one at Dad's. Is that correct?
This one's going to be at Village.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
That's awesome.
We keep debating, but we're like, which one is it?
Yeah.
Because we always go to the wrong one. So.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. Well, they're very close to each other now.
They are, luckily.
Which is kind of weird. Well, I guess they were close to each other before, but yeah, it's strange with Relapse closing, sort of like where everything's sort of ending up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Relapse is where I got my start.
Yeah, too, absolutely. So. Well, that's why I remember meeting you.
Yeah, exactly.
Over the years, yeah, absolutely.
Because I did a backstory with you before I started stand-up.
Yeah, but you also, I remember you like. at Dulce's shows, and weren't
Yes.
you and Dulce in a sketch group together?
Yeah, it
I
was a
remember
sketch group that Dulce and I were in. It was called Postmodern Collapse. They're still going. But
I came to one of your shows, I think.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's fun.
When I first started, when I first met Dulce, she was like, "Come to my sketch show." And I was like, "I don't like it." She's like, "It's funny." And so I came, just to support. And,
I think we were pretty funny.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good.
Pretty fun.
I thought it was like, it was definitely funnier than a lot of what I've seen.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sketch is, I appreciate sketch more.
It's always hit and miss.
Because it's written and it's real jokes and.
Well, you commit to it for so much longer before you get any feedback on it than you really do when you're doing stand up.
Yeah.
Because, you can write a joke or, an outline of what you think you're going to have for a joke, go to an open mic, and then you're like, this didn't work.
Oh,
so you get your feedback so quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas in sketch, you'll be rehearsing it for a month before
And you just have to know it's funny.
Yeah. And then we're all laughing in the room because we think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
And the
of
crowd's
course.
like, what?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I had that. I took a sketch writing class, and it was very strange because it was like the guy who taught it. I know him, a nice guy, but he really didn't. He was like, it was like we all should have already knew how to write a script.
Right. It was more,
It was one of those. And so it was like, bring your finished script and we'll review it. And it's like, well, I don't understand any of the fundamentals or whatever. But they would read them, and I hated it. I hated because they would
they do like a table read in class.
Yeah, they'd mispronounce the words, and it was all actors. So it was like me and a couple of people who were like either comedians or improvisers or sketch people, and then all of the rest of them were actors, and they were being told by their agents to take classes like this or whatever. It was like it, and then you would try to give them notes, and then they would like try the note, and you'd be like,
what I bet you hated about it is that because you had done everything to that point,
I should have been performing.
No more control over.
Yeah.
So then
exactly.
these other people did it, and then
it's like I could have read all the parts, and I kept writing things that I could have read all the parts.
Yeah.
So almost everything I did on the whole time I did the sketch class, I wrote one thing that wasn't a dialogue. Everything else was two people talking, and I could have done both parts if I really had, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at one point I finally did. I just did. I was like, this is what it should sound like, and I did the back and forth of like an argument.
I've done. See,
I don't know. This is
I'm
funny.
not the same with dialogue at this point. Like I'm still trying to learn how to write. So I've only written 2 sketches. One that's we've performed a couple times and it went well, but it's really just like the concept of a joke. And then I spread it out to just kind of act out the joke, which is not necessarily the same as writing like a real sketch.
Yeah.
So it's it's something I'm trying to learn.
No, absolutely. Well, see, me, it's like all I know how to write is dialogue. I know how to write jokes and dialogue.
Yeah.
And like everything else is like a difficulty to me.
All I know how to write is jokes and barely that. So I'm still working that,
I don't know. It's been really funny because like I'm trying to write pilots right now, and
that's
it's like
cool.
it's been fun, but it's also all the parts that I don't know are all of the like the narrative you're describing and the scene setups and stuff. I have such a hard time with, but then when it's the people talking, I'm good to go with that. Like once I get them set up in a scenario, I can do it.
See,
I have such a hard time contriving the scenario. Like, is it inside?
I'm a little bit reverse of that, where it's like I can. I have a hard time writing just like this person says this and this person says that, but the collaborative process that I love the most is just kind of sitting in a room and saying, okay, what would happen next, and really kind of just doing that part of it.
That's cool.
But I think you have to be able to do the other part before anyone pays you to do the fun part.
Yeah, that's my thing too, is that I haven't really done very much collaborative. I've just been working on my own. I've been like taking an online class and reading a book, and so I write a little bit, and then I'm like, am I formatting this right?
Yeah.
And then it's like then you spend an hour on the formatting, and then you're like, well, like is there another way that I could introduce this information? Like, would a flashback work better or whatever it is? And that's sort of where I've been, where it's like I don't know what type of I barely know what type of story I want to tell.
Right.
And I sure as hell don't know how I want to tell it.
Yeah.
And it's like in a joke, you just have to be funny, and it's like
it just
amazing. It's so easy.
Well, and that's where so much I'll be like, this is a funny idea, and then you just kind of build off of that.
Absolutely.
And so you at least know where it's supposed to go.
Right.
So I don't know, but yeah.
So what's been your best experience in stand-up so far, and what's your worst experience been?
Oh my God.
So you're fairly new, so it's like you've got, what are the highs and lows?
Okay, so high was being resident at the Laughing Skull.
Nice.
And also just hosting at the Laughing Skull Festival this year.
Nice, yeah.
Because
which you killed both, by the way.
Thank you, thank you for that. The hosting was really fun for the festival.
It's so strange to me how women and minorities take to hosting in a way that men straight men have. I don't know. I think it's because we have to be nice when we don't want to be nice.
Well, that's fair.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like you have to act a certain way or whatever it is. You have to get put on, and that's what being a host is putting on.
Yeah, and trying to make people feel comfortable. And I think women are definitely conditioned to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
but then men sometimes will struggle with hosting, and it's like, well, you have to act like you want to be here.
Yeah, well,
you know that this is the most fun you've ever had. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, why would I ever have to do that? I'm like, as a gay person, I have to do that all the time. I have to act so excited. You know what I'm saying?
You definitely
I have to be excited about when, I don't know. It's just funny to me.
Well, just as a minority, you have to be,
appreciative.
You have to be a minority, but like a quote unquote good one. You know, the whole model thing.
Well,
so you have to be welcoming and lovely and nicer
and that you have to be
everyone.
like when somebody does do something nice, you have to pay attention because then because otherwise you're being not
being grateful
gracious and all that. And all of that is like you have to sort of pay attention and be hyper vigilant to a degree.
Yeah, well, you're just being inspected more. I think is what the problem is.
Yeah.
So
so you're presenting. You know how to present. You know how to turn it on. You know how to turn it off. And I don't think that not every guy knows how to do that. Like most guys, kind of like the more privileged they are or the more sheltered they are, the less they have to do it. And then it's like a skill that they have to learn. And I've learned that
they're just supposed to be.
I've learned that recently. Like the more that I'm booking various rooms and whatever. That some people are great at it, some people aren't great at it, and that it's like there's some very basic some people they just take to it. I'm like, yeah, but they don't take to it. It's like the programming that we get.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like
certainly,
and it's just interesting to me because it's like one of the very few things in comedy where everyone can agree that the host is a very important role.
Yes,
but then we also shit all over as like the worst and the this and that. Yeah. And the people that excel at it and the people that do the best at it are the ones who are like they're already having to put on those kind of airs in some capacity in their life, or they've had to act like they enjoyed something that they didn't enjoy. And I think it's like for me,
certainly I've had to do that.
It's like Rachel Epstein has that joke. She's like, this song is about trauma. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. I see some women in the audience, so yeah, probably, or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's like you killed the hosting thing and it just came as second nature to you. And it just looked like you've been doing it the whole time. And I think that's sometimes deceptive. Like people think that means it's easy. It's still hard. You still have to do it, you know?
I try. I mean, it's one. I mean, that hosting that night, especially like the last night when it was just like the all women of color show at the Smith's Old Bar was super, super fun because I got to host for like people that like I knew and people that I just like looked up to so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And it was one of the first times I felt like a real comic, I guess. And then going into the residency. It was very similar with just like kind of like, oh well, I got 2 shows, got a show here across town, whatever. So like those 2 moments were just really cool because I was like, this is what your life could be like if like comedy remained a part of it and you kept putting in the focus and putting in the work. So
yeah, absolutely,
it was very cool to just be
that's
like,
awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm working tonight at the club.
Nice.
See you there. So.
And then what has been your like worst?
Okay, I'm so excited to tell you this story. Blair and I went to Augusta.
Okay.
Blair Erskine, very hilarious comedian, and my comedy sister. But yeah, we went to Augusta. She was headlining. I was featuring. Okay. And we get to a club, and most of the people that were there were a very lovely group of old people from a nursing home. Okay. And then they maybe 10, and then 5 people in wheelchairs and some caretakers.
Okay.
And
were they there for the show though?
They were there for the show.
Okay.
And almost no one else was.
Wow.
So that was an interesting night. I did 20 minutes, a lot of which was material I came up with off the top of my head because it was like, I don't think these old people are really going to relate to my online dating material. So, I brought in some of that and kind of like some of the family stuff that I had written for my first graduation, that kind of thing. Did that for 20 minutes. Blair went up, did 45 minutes, and halfway through, I mean, I was crickets, my whole thing too. So I was like, freaking out and just like, this is so upsetting and, nerve-wracking. And then, halfway through, a man showed up, and I looked at him and I said, I guarantee you that is the man from the nursing home. and he's going to wheel out our audience one person at a time.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what he did. And then Blair continued to do comedy for 20 additional minutes.
Yeah.
So that we could get paid.
Yeah.
Like hightail it out of there.
Wow.
So that was the thing. I was like, if I can do this, I can do comedy just anywhere. Like I can do it pretty much anywhere else.
That's funny.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And in the moment, I was like so like nervous, but I was like, you're doing stand up in front of like 12 old people. I don't know. It was so few people. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I could look at each one. There was a little old lady in the front, and she was like, I had a joke about my grandmother, and she was like, well, your grandmother loves you, baby. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Like she was just talking to us. Like we were just,
Yeah.
It was great.
She just had someone to talk to.
She was like, oh yeah, she was so happy to see us.
How funny.
And she told some stories. Blair knew everyone's name by the end of her set. And she was telling some stories that we were like, we're glad you're in this nursing home. It sounds like you weren't in a good place before. Like it was so, every element.
Right.
It was like, funny. It felt bad in the moment because I'm a really anxious person. And so I was so anxious. Like every single time I really do comedy at all, I'm always like, why am I doing this? I have to, and then get into the crowd and then be like, oh, okay, I do enjoy this still and I am good at it. So sorry. Yeah. And so that's what, but yeah, so that was a weird experience that night just because of, because I just felt so anxious the whole time. And then halfway through it got to the like, what's the worst that can happen point?
Yeah. Right.
Which was the guy wheeling people out.
Yeah.
And it was just hilarious. After that, I was like, this is great.
That's funny.
Comedy's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's pretty bad though. I don't know.
It was not good. When she started a race war, it was great.
Take them out one by one.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I haven't done much in Augusta, but I will have to say that every time I've gone, it's been sort of one of those types of shows where it's like kind of crazy or the audience is weird or that's funny.
That's the first time I'd ever been to Augusta doing comedy.
Yeah.
So, and then everything else out of town has been just really great. Experiences. So.
Absolutely. Where do you go out of town mostly?
Usually Asheville. Lace takes me. Natasha Ferrier had me up on Once a Month Comedy in September, which was
Chattanooga.
Yeah, in Chattanooga.
Palace Theater.
So fun.
Yeah, that's a great show.
It was really good.
I feel like it's the last Saturday of the month, maybe.
Yeah, I believe it's around the last Saturday of the month, towards the end of the month, kind of thing. But and it was great. But nice. And that was the only one I've gone on by myself. Yeah. And then everything else is, people taking me places, which is nice. But
so you're straight. Are you dating?
Well, I'm trying.
You're not dating comics though. I haven't seen you dating any comics, have you?
Well, no, I have not dated any comics.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. What are you looking for in a partner, in a man?
Oh my God.
List it out. Let's hear it.
So on Sunday we went to brunch for Amber Chandler's bachelorette party.
Okay. Yeah.
And this man came over and sat with us. And it was funny because the whole table watched me lose interest in someone like in real time. Like he started talking and then I was like, God, you're awful. And then he gave the kiss of death, which is, I've always wanted to try stand up. And I was like, no, I got to go.
Right.
So
that's pretty bad.
It was really bad. But I don't know. Like, I like artistic people.
Yeah.
Stand up musician, whatever. I'm not like never. But the goal isn't to not date somebody in a specific field. The goal is to not date a shitty person.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So, wherever you find one of those. But I like guys that I'm a nerd and I like nerds. And you don't have to be a nerd about like anything specific. I made a joke to somebody about how I like when I'm talking to a guy and he gets real excited about a topic and then like his eyes glaze over and he doesn't realize that I'm not listening anymore. Cause then I'm just like, I like him. Like I just, I don't know what you're talking about, but I like that you're into that. You know what I mean? So I like guys that are into things.
That they have their own interests?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. But that they're like,
but are you going to then make that your interest or is that like,
100%? No, I don't care. I don't care about your interest.
So you like guys that have interests, and that's it? That's your only quality?
No.
Oh, that they're nice?
No. Well, they have to be nice.
Artistic?
They just have to be creative.
They can be creative. Okay.
I like creative. Even if you're like just creative in like computers.
Okay.
I don't know how you would do that. But if you were, I would be into that. I like kind of people that just are like a little more sure of themselves. because I'm so unsure of myself.
So confident, but not cocky.
No. I don't like confident. A cocky person. I like a confident person. Yeah. I like someone who's just like.
It's hard to find sometimes.
So
I think.
Difficult to
Everyone
find.
is so like imposter syndrome.
Well, every millennial has
fuckboy down.
A slew of mental illnesses that we have not begun to deal with, and so it's just. I can't blame. I'm like I can't blame you, but
disagree with that.
No, it's not wrong. It's not wrong.
Therapy would hurt.
Oh
people.
Yeah, we would.
I did a little bit. I did a little bit last year, a little tune-up.
Did you?
A few months. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I've been in therapy this year.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. It's actually pretty great. I recommend it for everybody, but I also get that everyone doesn't have the money for it.
No, absolutely. And I don't think that you should do it all the time. I think like if you're in a relationship where you have a therapist that you see like all constantly, that it can become codependent and they can be, but they can be your parking area for all your shitty stuff.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help you. Like, so I've watched and known people in therapy like for years and years, and it's like, you're not changing. You're just going there and getting somebody to agree with you or whatever it is.
The goal is for you to learn how to make the decisions on your own.
But in coping skills and all that.
Yes, exactly.
But like I found that I'd go for 3 or 4 months and then I want to go and live out in the world.
Right.
And whatever has changed as a result of the therapy, see it work in my, you know what I mean? Like that's sort of my thing. It's like, it doesn't work. It's talking about my problems isn't, it's like doing things to diffuse them and to prevent them from happening.
Right.
Is the only part of therapy I'm interested in, is the results, not the comment, you know?
Well, I mean, a lot of it I think is coping skills and like helping you get out of your own way.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, you know, if you're still not coping, like however long it takes you to figure out how to cope with things you're on your own, which you don't have to be on your own forever. Like you said, you can always go back, but like,
exactly.
You know, you should be, you know, be able to, I'm confident in my decisions.
But you have to trust your own instincts and your own behaviors, and that you'll notice when something's triggering you or whatever it is. And like my thing, it's like so funny because it's like it's such little stuff, but it's like all about injustice. Like, so when I see injustices of any kind, I become very like, well, what are we going to do about these injustices? And most of the time I can't fucking do a thing about them. So why am I so bent out about it? So I focus on things I can change. So now, and sometimes it's like, even the smallest little thing that I can do will make it like a huge difference for me. It'll feel good in terms of like, okay, well, I've picked this one little area and I'm just going to do this one thing. I'm going to accomplish this one. And when it's accomplished, I'm like, and like, so some people, they'd be like, you spent your whole day doing that? But to me, I'm like, it's a personal triumph.
Yes,
you know?
no,
like,
I'm all about personal triumphs. I have
something.
that. I have those that are small, and I'll pat myself on the back pretty good for completing the little list of things I gave myself that day. I'm like, everything else is gravy. You know, I got this done, because sometimes it's hard. It just, it is. But yeah, I mean, I definitely have had a justice-based focus recently. Was just, well, not even recently, like my whole life. It should be this way.
Absolutely. And why isn't it? And it's very unfair. It makes me
angry when I'm like, I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Why can't you, you know, well, if everyone just did this, but you can't control all that.
Absolutely. And then what I would do is just build my case. So like whatever I thought was terrible, I would then collect evidence and only have conversations that reinforced it.
I've been talking to my therapist.
Well,
I'm a notorious.
I think that's what everybody does. That's all we do.
People don't. That's what I'm learning, is that she was like, I was like, yeah, everyone thinks like this, right? She's like, no, most people are not worried about it. I'm like, oh, cool. But
whatever.
I do collect.
That bitch is keeping score.
I know. She's lying. She's definitely lying. I'm gonna take her down one day. No, but like I do kind of collect a list of evidence, and then I'll be like, see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's exactly it. Confirmation bias is my number one. But what was so funny about my therapist was she, like, just talking about things being unfair, being gay and all this stuff. And she, like, sort of started crying because of, like, she never thought about how hard it would be for a gay person to. And I was like, bitch, I'm not even crying yet. You need to get your act together. And we literally, I had to stop the session. I said, you need to get your shit. I said, I appreciate like what you're saying or whatever, but like I'm not even there about it. Do you know what I'm saying?
For the empathy.
Yeah, I was like, I got real problems. Don't get hung up on the gay shit.
Well, because then you have to comfort her now.
And I told her, I was like, if I wanted to talk about my gay problems, I wouldn't be doing it with a straight 24-year-old woman. I said, you're very helpful with the other stuff, but you're not the one I would be talking to about that. And she was like, really?
Oh my God.
Really? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not just saying that to make you feel better. I'm literally like, I said, could you imagine if I wanted to dump all the trauma of being a 46-year-old gay man in your lap? And like, this was at Georgia State. So she was like, I was doing that sliding scale, like where you pay $20 and she's a student. And then there's somebody videotaping and a real therapist watching and giving her notes or whatever. And I'm like looking at the camera. I'm like, do they cry all the time?
I broke this one. Can you send me a new one?
I was like, she needs a minute.
Yeah.
But it was great because it was something that was really interesting for me to see, like how sometimes straight people get very upset and it does nothing for me. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not about me. It's about their own guilt about gayness and whatever else.
Oh, yeah.
And how little they think about it. But I had to be basically like, I need you to do your job though, because I'm fucked up in other areas and I still need you. Like, we still have 30 minutes.
Right. It's like this one I've handled. So I'm, you know.
Well, it's like, I'm not ready to pull that thread yet or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And when I am, I'm going to need like 10 of you. Do you know what I mean?
You're not going to have the experience to help me.
It was pretty funny. She was super nice though. And it was a great experience. And it was
you have the patience to talk to a 24-year-old.
Well, I just did. I just used it as like I trusted that they. Well, Rachel Epstein had done it and had told me that because I didn't have insurance at the time.
Yeah.
And they told me that it was like cheap and that if you're an alumni of Georgia State, it's even cheaper. And it was like $20 a session. And I had to agree to do, I want to say like 12 weeks or maybe 16.
Okay.
So it was designed to have an end.
Yeah.
And so it was like perfect for me. I was like, oh, okay, I know it's going to cost this much money. And like, if I didn't like the therapist, I could switch out.
Yeah.
And I just trusted that whoever was videotaping was because like, they got to make sure these people, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the liability of like not training these people correctly would be a nightmare.
Just having them sending people.
So I could tell she knew what she was doing.
Right.
And she was good. She like, you know, I mean, I think that like the gay stuff was a little much for her to handle and I started getting into it with her.
Yeah.
But like everything else, like she was like, you know, my thing was I had just changed. I'd quit my day job and was pursuing comedy full time and just having a couple issues with like in my job, you would hear back from people every day.
Right.
And in stand up, like you just, no, you know,
you don't.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. And like
that's what I'm learning.
Yeah, and you have to be able to take it.
Yeah.
And if you can't take that, then you know what I mean. It's like if you can't take the rejection, you're never going to get the praise.
Well, I'm used to rejection.
Yeah. Well,
so,
I thought I was.
Yeah. Oh.
And I really am because it's like, you know. It's not my when it's not my turn, it's not my turn, and there's nothing I can do to change that.
Right.
And when it is my turn, I hope I'm ready.
You just have to be ready when they look at you.
Yeah. If it's like never comes the way I think it's going to, then it's on me to make sure to make the most of every opportunity that does come my way.
Right.
So if like the big opportunity that I think is the one that is, you know what I'm saying, like whatever it is that I think is going to make me, you know, where I can do this full time for a living and make money.
Yeah.
There's other stuff in the meantime, and I got to pay attention to that. And that's what I learned from therapy the most is that if I spend all my time focused on the big thing that I'm not going to notice, because she listed out everything I'm doing that I told her I was doing, and when she listed it out, it sounded impressive to me.
Right. Yes.
And what she did was she did it. She was like, "What if I told you I knew somebody who produces shows, does this stuff, has done all the festivals? Would you say that they're a successful comedian?" And I said yes. And she goes, "Well, that's what you've been telling
that's what
me
you just said,
for the last 4 months." And I was like, "Oh shit!"
Right.
So yeah, therapy's amazing. You know,
it is. It's good. I also agree that you have to kind of compartmentalize because there are some certain things that you just can't talk about with certain people.
Yeah.
Because you spend the whole time.
You can't fix everything at once either.
True. Exactly.
You know? And there's some shit like people talk a lot about in stand up in terms of that they can't it's tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Right.
But it's really the time is the healing. If they don't talk about it like that, and the time is that you're no longer like you have some kind of emotional resolution with that, whatever that trauma was, that you're not still feeling the trauma. If you're in the trauma, you can't make fun of the trauma in the same way as you could when you had some kind of separation from it.
Right.
And I think that that's something that like is really true for comedians. It's like I quit that job I had at ADP for 20 years, and I've never told a joke about working there. because I hated it that much. and I just don't have. There's funny shit that happened.
Yeah.
I just have no.
You can't look at.
There's no joy to any of it. Like
you get sucked
like
into
it paid me a living, but it like I worked my fingers to the bone at that job, you know, and I'd work really late, and so like I compromised a lot of time with my husband to do that job, and then ultimately I felt like it was like for nothing other than money, which money's great, but it's like I was left with, you know, just the desire to go up the corporate ladder for no reason. You know, It's like I basically spent 20 years working out my daddy issues with a bunch of middle managers at a company. You know what I mean? And like in reality, I should have just been doing stand up. Right. I've been doing stand up the whole time. My life would be completely different. You know? Yeah. It's just so funny.
It's the same. I'm on a work hiatus right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for very similar reasons. The economy is shit, so I'll never be able to afford that house I was saving for. Yeah. So I'm using some of that money right now. Right. And start looking for work in the new year. But it was the same thing where I was like, I can't, you know, I work super hard. Yeah. At whatever I'm doing, including my job, whether or not I give a rat shit about it. And I didn't, but it just makes you exhausted. Yeah, absolutely. And it takes away the enjoyment and the focus. And
so how long out of the job were you like, wow? Like how many days were you out of that job where you were like, oh shit, like it made you so miserable?
Oh, I was in it that it was.
Yeah. Oh, no, but like when you quit, when you finally get away from it. Oh, yeah. And you realize, like I had something happen the other day where somebody got all, like they were like, oh, and you know, is it this thing or is it this thing? And it was like, I had to check right away and get it back to them. And there is some of that in booking, but it's like a teeny little drop in the bucket of the anxiety I used to feel on a daily basis when I worked at ADP. Exactly. When someone would ask me a question. Yes. Where is such and such? Tell me what this acronym stands for. And I'd fucking forget. I've been working there 20 years and I forgot I worked there so long I forgot like all the shit they taught me at the beginning. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it was bad. It was but I would constantly be going through that. Constantly going through where like things, because everybody hates each other. They're all mean as shit to each other. Yeah. It's like just a very toxic environment. And like in comedy, even the worst day is like a cakewalk. Yes. Compared to 5 minutes on a conference call with some of the fucking pit vipers I worked with at that company who would just ruin your weekend, ruin your day, ruin your bonus, all just in a drop of a hat. You know?
Well, for me, just it wasn't even everybody else. I hated everybody. Yeah. Like it was, and they weren't doing anything. Yeah. You know, and it just got to the point where, so for years I was just like, everybody's an idiot and everybody's this and everybody's that, and I was like, no. I just hate this. Yeah. And it's like, I can't do it because I can't do it. And then there came like a lot of blame, just being like, why everybody goes to work every day and does whatever. Yeah. You know, why can't I? And I think that really it just was like, I just need a break and I need to restructure the way I want my life to work. Absolutely. So that I'm not.
Well, we're taught like you're either lazy or you work. Right. You either have a job or you're a piece of shit. Yes. Right? I mean, that's it. Those are the only two options. Right. So if you tell somebody, oh, well, I do these 5 things to make money, well, then there's something wrong with you, and it's a weird.
Yeah, and it's weird, and you should just have one job that pays you super well. But
that's over. That's all done now.
Out, and then it's
well, that's like you have to. That's the thing. Now you can have that super great job like that, but it's gonna drain your life, and it's gonna eat your weekends, and you're gonna have to work late, and everyone's gonna treat you like shit,
and you're not gonna have energy to create a life for yourself that you actually want outside of work.
I mean, I don't know. I hate to say it, but like the most time I've wasted in my life wasn't on drugs. It was working at a big company.
I agree.
Every minute of the meetings and the reports and the this and that. It was all like busy work. I mean, sometimes you were legitimately working, but I would say half my time spent at those companies was just busy work to reinforce the structure. Yeah. So you knew you were a peon.
I had a hard time seeing the value in anything that I was doing just because I hated it so much. Yeah. And I worked for a doctor's office. I worked for like a catastrophic housing company. Okay. And I was like, so these are things that matter to people. Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, fuck this. I was like, it's just my attitude, you know, because I was like, I was drained.
What's that Monique? Yeah, the Monique joke. There's a joke. She says, "Girl, fuck that job. Yeah, fuck that job.
Yes, like I
fuck it. It's not really a joke. It's just her saying fuck it. But it's true. And I swear to God, when I watched Queens of Comedy, that was the first time that I ever was like, I never believed that. I was raised that you are like, even being gay and burning in hell forever and all that, I still had to work real hard at all the shit I had to do. Like you had to be, and I remember watching that and her being like, fuck that job.
Yeah.
And for the first time I was like, what? Yeah. Sort of, why am I,
why do I care?
It took years and years for me to fully get it. When I quit ADP, when I quit that job, I gave them I had worked there almost 20 years, and I gave them 1 day notice.
So you were
They were not happy about it.
Of course not.
They were not happy about it. They're like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, because I don't want to drag it out. Because they would make, like, you'd give them 2 weeks notice, and they'd talk you into staying for 6 weeks. And then they'd work you like a dog for that last 6 weeks. And I was like, you're not getting I mean, like, I'll send a couple of emails today, but that's it. I'm not doing, you ain't getting every piece of information I have in my head. So what they did was they made sure that, like I didn't get paid until I sent them every phone and paper clip and anything that I'd ever gotten from, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there was like, there was something about a stand for some phone I had that I had to, so I sent them the whole phone, but this one little piece that like propped it up because I couldn't find it. And they were trying to hold my shit. But stupid. I get it. I get why they did it.
I get it too. But it's at the end of the day, like, in a best case scenario, even if you're working for, so like a lot of the companies that I worked for most recently were like owned by like I could look at the person who owned it and who started it.
Yeah.
And so even, at best, what I'm doing is working myself to the bone to help somebody else live out their dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to help somebody else have the life that they want.
Yeah.
And it was at a point where I was like, when is it ever I'm never going to make enough money from this place that I'm going to be able to do whatever I want to do one day. So it's like, you just do what you want to do now and then figure the money out second.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a change, and I've only been out for 2 weeks. So we'll see how big I'm talking in January. But honestly, like, I think that I've been just happier every day.
Yeah, that's what I was
so
kind of saying.
Yeah,
is that the further you get away from it?
Yes.
Like I was saying the other day, I had something where everyone was like, and I was like, okay, I'll get back to you. And it was the first time I'd felt any stress at all.
Right.
And like, I mean, comedy has its own different kind of stress, but that kind of stress where it's like the account's going to be ruined or someone's going to, it's like, it was like. It was very fleeting because, like, ultimately, even the thing I was in a big hurry to let somebody know was, like, their schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was nothing. It was just, like, me, like, oh, I better. But my reaction to it was, like, I was like, wow.
Your attitude towards it is
I used to feel like that 24/7. I used to live in constant. Like, I remember doing open mics and being on call at my company for if the servers and shit went down, and, like, being on stage and, like, being afraid the pager's going to go off and all that. And then, like, having it happen where I'd have to leave an open mic and go sit at my computer for 5 hours working on some shit because some file didn't get sent from some bullshit from somewhere. And it was always like, if that doesn't happen, these people, like, they're not going to get paid their bonuses correctly. And it's always like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, it never fulfilled me in any way. Even when you fix the problem,
someone cares about it, but it's not me.
Exactly.
And I need to get out.
Yeah, and they really wanted you to care. And I think ultimately why, like, I was able to quit the way that I did and leave without, like, because I've never heard from any of them.
Right.
So I worked for these people for years and years. I haven't heard from a single one of them.
Yeah.
But it was obvious.
Yeah.
Because I was burnt out. I was somebody who had worked that company for so long and so hard that they had gotten, like, I was, like, fried. My brain was fried.
Right.
And so a true burnout in the sense of not like a burnout like a stoner, but like a burnout in a work burnout.
That's literally where I was. Yeah. And it was at the point where I was like, can I get out of bed to go to work today?
Congratulations to you. Congratulations. So I was like, your money situation will work itself out. You'll figure all that out.
I think it will too. Yeah. And I mean, I've been able to
there'll be times where you don't have a lot of money.
Sure.
But it'll be better than what you ever had when you're in the situation where you're giving almost your entire week and all of your energy to somebody else for something you don't like to do.
Right.
I mean, there's something really terrible about
it. It really is bad.
It's like we do live in a very fucked up society.
When
that's
you
where
think about that's what we have to do now, to just survive every day. Just
I never understood being sent to school. As a kid, I never got it. I was like, why? This is like, it's like our own version of prison that we were sent to as children. I always thought
they were just training you to go to work.
Exactly.
That's what they were doing.
They were training you to be disappointed, to be able to respond to bells.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't drink when you want to. You can't pee when you want to. You can't eat when you want to.
Yeah.
But everything else.
How weird is it that kids have to ask someone's permission to go pee?
I know.
Like, what? That's just, I know it sounds like stoner thoughts, but like really when you get to a certain point, you're like, this is stupid. Like with or without drugs, this is stupid that we're doing this.
And who's in charge?
And
straight people. Fucking straight people.
Fucking straight people. Yeah. But even since I've been gone, like I've had more opportunity to do things that I want and like do more voiceover auditions, like doing all kinds of things like that, and just putting things into.
When people know that you're making your primary living from trying to like be creative and stuff starts coming to you too.
It does.
People start hearing about you and they're like, oh well, they're so and so's free during the day. See if they can come and do this and that and the other.
Now I'm free during the day, so I can do things. It's great. It's so good.
So tell people where they can find you because I think we're about to get to the wrap up.
Yeah, you can find me.
This goes quick.
It does go quick. This is fun though. I'm on Instagram. I'm trying to do better at it, but I am on there. Usually I post my shows on, it's at Brittany Does Comedy Now.
Okay.
BRITTANY. Do not insult me with an E. Thank you so much.
Don't come for her unless she sends for you.
Unless I do not bring an E when you come.
Don't come with E's unless she sends for yous. Bitch.
So I'm at Brittany Does Comedy Now on Instagram.
Nice.
And that's it. I'm still just trying to work out some stuff coming up in the new year.
Cool. Are you around for New Year's, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. I might have something for you.
Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't just book somebody on Straight People. That didn't happen.
That's not what's going on.
That's not even what's about to happen afterwards. It's not going to happen. Not even about it. But get your calendar out. I'm Ian Aber, and this has been Straight People. Say goodbye, Brittany.
Goodbye.